Hello, my name is Ray Bowman. I've spent 30 years involved in international import and export. I'm a certified global business professional. I'm also the director of the EDC Small Business Development Center, which is an SBA program that gives free advising services to small and medium-sized companies. I'm also the program chair of the Southern California District Export Council. We're a group of volunteers appointed by the U.S. Secretary of Commerce to promote U.S. exports. I'm also a professor at Cal Lutheran University as well as Santa Barbara City College, teaching classes in supply chain logistics, trade finance, and international business. I also belong to a variety of trade associations, such as the American Association of Exporters and Importers, as well as NASBITE, who not only certifies the CGBP certification, but is also dedicated to small business international trade education throughout the world. So in this lesson, I'd like to talk about intermodal transportation, just a quick overview of the type of cargo that's appropriate for intermodal and the advantages of using intermodal transportation. So basically, intermodal transportation is a movement of freight using more than one mode of travel, where all parts of the transportation network are effectively connected and coordinated. So for the purposes of this lesson, I'm really going to focus on rail intermodal transportation and some of the qualities involving that. There are different types of equipment. So when we talk about intermodal in terms of rail truck transportation, we're dealing with different types of equipment to move those containers. A lot of times what we're looking at is transshipping between or cross-docking between the truckload transportation, then loading onto the rail. But sometimes you may have intermodal moves involving ocean freight containers, where those containers are then transferred onto rail and then back onto a truck. So there's different types of equipment involving intermodal transportation. Now, intermodal transportation has grown quite a bit. If you look at the trends over the years, the amount that goes on rail has increased quite a bit. And there's a lot of benefits to intermodal. A single intermodal train can hold up to 280 truckloads. So it's not only taking those truckloads off the highway, but it's doing it in a very efficient manner. In addition, some types of freight can take as much as 500 trucks off our highways. So it's a very green alternative. On average, railways are more than 3 times more fuel efficient than trucks. So again, it's greening the supply chain. Nearly 1 billion gallons of fuel per year could be saved if only 10% of all freight that currently moves on truck moved by rail. So it's a very efficient way of handling a lot of different commodities. Now, the one thing you need to understand when looking at intermodal is dependent in terms of using rail truck, is very dependent upon where the railheads are. So here's a map that I have showing some basic railhead information throughout the U.S. So this is one particular line, the BNSF line, and showing where the different railheads are. So in other words, for intermodal transportation to truly be effective, you really need to have cargo located near these railheads. If you're too far from any one of these railheads, then the cost of trucking can negate the benefit of using the intermodal transportation. So that's one thing to keep in mind when using intermodal. And again, there's a variety of carriers. BNI is one of the largest carriers, but there are other carriers out there, CSX, UNP, so there's quite a few. So what are the guidelines in using intermodal transportation? Well, one guideline is distance. Intermodal, the benefits of intermodal are using that rail line for as much of the transportation route as you can. So a good rule of thumb is that you really need a route that extends more than 1,000 miles by rail in order for intermodal to be cost effective as possible. So that 1,000-mile rule is a good rule to go by. Also, time considerations. Pickup and delivery will usually take a day or more, to deliver the goods to the rail terminal and then stage that. So you need ample time. So many of the types of companies that use intermodal aren't under a lot of time constraints, but what they're doing is they're using the intermodal to have a consistent flow of their supply chain. So you do need time, but it can provide a good, consistent flow. Some other considerations is there's a certain amount of free days that you have for both origin and destination, so you have to be conscious of what those free days are. Also, blocking and bracing of cargo. It's very important that you not only properly block, brace, and package cargo for rail movement, but that you're conscious of certain types of cargo may be well suited for intermodal, but may not be. Remember, going on a rail car is a pretty rough ride, so certain types of commodities such as flooring, steel, large bulk liquids, cattle, a lot of these types of commodities travel very well by rail, but things like electronics, high value items may not travel as well because of the rough ride and the damage. So it's not only important to properly block and brace all cargo, but also be conscious of not all cargo travels well on intermodal. So this is a very quick tutorial on intermodal. I'd love to see more of our importers and exporters use intermodal to their advantage. But again, you have to look at distance from the railhead as a consideration, having ample time to deliver the cargo, making sure the cargo is properly blocked and braced, and making sure that the distance that you're traveling by rail is more than 1,000 miles, at least in North America. So I hope this tutorial is helpful for you, and we'll see you next time.